Welcome to our summer art camp. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm Miss Amanda, and this is Jessie. Say hi, Jessie.
Hello.
Hi. So before we get started, you should have your art pack already. It looks like this if you picked it up at the church. We'll get back to that in just a second, though. If you don't have an art pack, you're okay because you can get your own supplies on your own. But I have a couple of announcements before we get started. If you are in kiddos, that's first grade through fifth grade, we have our Fiesta Fridays, and our next fun night is going to be July 23rd, and we're having a movie night. So come on July 23rd, Friday, up in kiddos for our movie night. The next announcement is our Water Day graduation. This is August 8th, so mark your calendar. Bring a towel, some sunscreen, some water, and of course your swimsuit. It's for ages 4 years old through 5th grade. So we'll see you on Water Day graduation. That's on August 8th. Both services 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. All right, let's dig in. Go ahead and grab your art kit if you have it. If you don't, let me show you what you need. We're going to be doing 2 crafts. Inside, you'll find a nice little piece of paper that gives you information about what we're doing. Our 2 crafts are the Ojo de Dios, which is the Eye of God. It looks like this. And our kaleidoscope sponge painting. It looks like this. All right, so inside your bag, go ahead and unpack your bag. You have 3 paper plates for the kaleidoscope sponge activity. You should have 1 pre-cut sponge that's going to fit around your plate. And if you don't have your art kit and you want to make this on your own, you're just going to cut some little pie wedges out of a sponge for your plate. You should have a wedge that's big enough to make it go around 8 times. Also in your bag, you should have some acrylic paint. And then you'll have 2 dowel sticks and a ball of yarn for your Ojo de Dios. All right, so go ahead and set your dowel and your yarn aside because we're going to start with our sponge activity. You'll need a pair of scissors handy. And what you're going to do, I gave you 3 plates. One of the plates is going to be so you can squirt the paint on to the plate, and then the other plate is where you're actually going to make the activity. All right?
If you mess up, there's a 3rd plate.
And that's what the 3rd plate's for, is if you mess up, which is totally okay, you'll have an extra plate. Also, you should have enough paint to even do a 2nd one if you wanted to. So what you're going to do, you're going to take your paint and you're going to squeeze the corner like this to kind of push the paint back inside of the bag. And then you're going to take your scissors and you're just going to clip off that corner real small. Jessie, I'll go ahead and let you do yours. And you're going to do that. You're going to open each one this way. Okay? Go ahead and move that off of your plate. And so what you're going to do with this first color is you're going to squirt it onto your plate kind of like in a pattern, almost like making little dots. Okay, so because we're going to want to fill in the blank spaces with other colors. I didn't even use my entire package. I'm going to set it to the side. You might want to save some of that paint for later, and if you want to do this again, there's quite a bit of paint for you. Good job. All right, cut open your 2nd color, just the corner. I'll pass the scissors off to you. And you want to make sure that paint is all the way down in the corner. If the tape came off and your paint squeezed out to the other side of the bag, just mash it down into the one corner so that you have a nice, easy way to squeeze it out. So now we have the 2nd color going on. And Jessie, you're going to want to squirt it like in between the green, like this. So you want to have all your colors concentrated in one area, because what we're going to do is we're going to take this sponge and we're going to dip our sponge into the paint. So we want it all to be in one central area. So I'm going to put a little bit of orange into mine. I feel good about that. I don't have to use all of the paint, and neither do you. Go ahead and grab that 3rd bag. Give it a little pinch so the paint is kind of out of that corner. Gently cut off the corner for yourself. All right, and now we're going to put our 3rd color kind of in between some of the other colors that we already put onto our plate. So what we're doing is we're trying to make almost like a cheetah effect, or, you know, like different animals, they have spots all over, right? So we don't want the same color next to each other too much. I think that looks good. Let me see yours. Looks pretty nice. Why don't you fill in a little bit more paint If you make the area just a little bit bigger, you want it to be almost as big as your sponge. So if you ended up like Jessie's, where it's kind of small, Go ahead and squeeze a little bit more paint around the outer edge of your pile. Go ahead and do that. Because you want to be able to dab your sponge into it and cover the entire surface area of your sponge. Looks good, Jesse. It's almost like frosting a cookie.
Yeah.
Don't eat it though, because that would be gross, okay? All right, so grab your sponge, my dear, and we're gonna take the sponge, and what you wanna do is you wanna press it from the top down into the paint. You don't wanna smear it around because it'll mix the colors. So you wanna make sure to go straight on in and then give it a tiny little press and then pick it up. Now let's pick it up and look at it. Now mine got pretty well covered. There's a little bit of my sponge that still has some dead space. So I'm gonna go in, and there's yellow right there. I'm gonna kind of put it into the orange to kind of cover the rest of my sponge. Did yours get fully covered?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, put that plate aside and grab one of your blank plates. So what we're going to do is, if you look at your plate, you've got this circle. You can see the circle, inner circle on the plate. That's where we're gonna line up the edge of our sponge. All right, so it's going to, the first one, we're gonna just drop it straight onto our plate very carefully because we don't wanna blend the colors up. And we're gonna give it a little press. Let me see how yours is doing. Give it a little press and then pick it straight up. And that should give you your first stamp. And if it ends up not having all the color put down on the plate, press it down just a little bit more. There you go. Now pick it up and press it down right next to the wedge that you just did. Give it a little press and pick it straight up. And you're going to continue doing this all the way around until you've completed it. Now sometimes you start to run out of paint just a little bit at the end, and that's okay because the first triangle that you made was the one that had the most paint on it. You can actually go back to that first triangle and take a little double dip.
And
I'm gonna do that, yeah.
if you have more, you can just put it back on.
Totally can. I'm gonna go back into my first one because I wanna hold the same pattern that I did with that first one and press it in all the way around. Make sure you give it an even press. That way all the paint from the tip to the base of the sponge gets pressed in. And on that last one, if you didn't make it all the way around, if it wasn't even, you can actually slide it just a little bit until you touch the last piece. So when you're finished, it should look like this. How are we doing, guys? Is it going well for you? If you mess up, it's not a big deal. You can always use your second plate. And there's plenty of paint on this plate that we poured out already. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and do a second one. I'm gonna dip it in, pick it up, and go all the way around a second time.
Now it doesn't have to be perfect.
No.
Like, you see, mine is not a perfect circle, but it doesn't really matter. All that matters is that you get the thing done and you have fun.
Are we having fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. All right, I have one more. And guys, you can save your sponges. You can rinse them out and save them, or you can toss them in the trash. My second one didn't come out as good. I think it works best on the first one. I should have washed it out. But that's our kaleidoscope. I hope you enjoyed that one. I'm gonna set this aside and put my paint to the side as well. And now we're gonna move on to the Ojo de Dios. And this means the eye of God. You're gonna have two dowel sticks that look like this. If you didn't pick up an art kit, you can always use twigs from outside. I have grapevines growing in my backyard, and actually those branches work really, really well. But you're gonna wanna have a stick that's about like 5 or 6 inches long and pretty slender. All right, and then you're gonna wanna have some yarn in your bag. You should have gotten some yarn. The kind of yarn that I like to use for this is multicolored yarn, because as you go around your dowels, it's gonna make a cool pattern. So I'm gonna unravel my yarn, toss it to the ground here, and we are going to get started. All right, so Jesse, why don't you talk us through how to start this, because you're really good at making these. Micah is too, but you are. You crisscross first, right? Like this?
Yeah, you crisscross.
Now this first part, it might take you a couple of tries, and that's okay. You're gonna make like a plus sign, and you're gonna take your yarn. You're gonna wanna wrap around the first dowel and kind of hold it in place with your other finger, You're gonna wrap around almost like an X, kind of going back and forth until you secure the sticks together. And I'm not really going in any specific pattern. I'm just trying to wrap my yarn around my sticks to get them to hold together. Once you go around a few times, it'll stick, just like this. So this is the start. And you want to try and have it so that your sticks are even. Like, you don't want it to look like a cross. You want it to look like a plus sign.
And if you need help and if you mess up on the first try, you can always go back in the video and then just memorize it.
Hit the replay.
Yeah.
That's right. Did you get yours started yet?
Nope.
That's okay. So just go back and forth a few times across your sticks until they feel secure. And then to start doing this, you're going to wrap around one stick, bounce over to the next stick, wrap around that stick, and then bounce over to the next stick, wrap around, bounce over, wrap around, and bounce over. And you're going to keep turning it in this way all the way around until it starts to take on a form like this. Okay, so we're going to be here for a minute wrapping it around together. You wrap it around and give it a turn. Wrap it around, give it a turn. And once you get going, it'll really start to make the pattern that you're looking for. Are you still struggling to get it started?
Yeah.
That's okay. Take your time. Once I get mine going a little bit more, I'll see if I can help you start yours.
Okay.
And as you start to get going, you guys, it helps if you hold it pretty tight and wrap it pretty tight. It'll start to give you this really good pattern, this really good design. If you find that it's a little too loose, that's okay. You can just unravel it and start over. It's kind of like learning how to tie a shoe. You know, if you tie it too high and too loose, it just doesn't look good and it doesn't work out right and you just start all over. Same thing with this. So we're just going to keep turning and wrapping each individual stick. I'm going to wrap around, and I'm going to pause. Did you get it?
No. Well, maybe. I don't know.
So to start the sticks, this is the hardest part, is to start the sticks. You just got to hold it together and kind of crisscross back and forth until you hold the end of the string underneath the other part of the string. It looks like you got it started. So at this point, you can probably start wrapping around and turning. Good. Yep, he got it. He finally got it. All right, let's keep wrapping, you guys. Let's go, let's go. Now on this side, you can see it looks like this, and on the other side, it looks like this. Looks very cool. So you can, when you have this finished product, you can hang this up on your wall, you can hang it over by your dresser, you can put it on your desk.
Or you could give it to a family relative.
You
or
can
a
give it to a
friend.
friend. It makes a fun gift. I know my kids, you guys have made these for other people. I have one hanging on my bookcase, and it's a good reminder, first of all, that something my kids made me, which makes me really happy. I always love their projects and their gifts. And the other thing is, this is called Ojo de Dios, which is the eye of God. So it's, you know, it's a reminder that God's always with us, and He's always watching out for us, and watching over us. All right, we're going to be wrapping for a while.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Keep it going. Don't stop. You get faster and faster as it gets bigger and bigger. It becomes easier because it's all together finally. It's not falling apart on you. How are we doing, guys? You doing good? You following along? Remember, if you had a hard time starting it, that's okay. Just keep trying until you get it. Sometimes it might take an adult to help you even. How's it coming, Jessie? Ooh, I like your colors.
Yeah, but when I look back at my ball of yarn, I can see that at the very end it starts to turn green.
Yeah, I like how it transitions into different colors. Now, some of you in your bags, you got this color with the blue, and then some of you got like a really fun pinky
green,
purple green,
purple.
like
Like a rainbow.
a rainbow. Yeah. All right, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. I'm getting closer and closer to the end here. Just keep wrapping. Just keep wrapping. Looking good, guys. All right, so I'm getting close to the end. When you get to be, maybe like a half an inch or an inch away from the edge of your stick, that's when you know that it's time to tie off the piece of yarn. And I gave you quite a bit of yarn so that, you could maybe even make a second smaller one if you wanted. But there should be extra yarn that you'll be cutting off. And I'll show you guys how to tie it off here in the end. We're going to make kind of like a knot and then a little bit of a slip knot loop so that you can hang this when you're all done. Okay, I think that looks good for me. I think I'm going to stop right there. Ooh, I really like how that turned out. It has like a blue edge. It's like lighter blue on the inside and a darker blue on the outside. That's pretty cool. Everyone's is going to look uniquely different. So, all right, I think I'm going to stop right there. And I'm going to go ahead and cut off some of this yarn. I'm going to leave a good amount though for myself to tie it off so I don't have to struggle too bad. So I'm going to go around and kind of pause it right there and make this loop, okay? And then I'm going to stick the long tail end. I'm going to do that again. I'll show you the loop. I'm going to go around and I'm going to pinch it off with my finger behind the stick. I'm going to take this loop, this extra part, and I'm going to stick it through the hole. And I'm going to pull it tight, and that's going to make the first part of my knot. I'm going to do that twice. So I'm going to wrap it around again and kind of pinch it and hold it there with my finger. I'm going to take this extra tail piece and I'm going to loop it through my hole that I made there, and I'm going to pull it tight. This makes a nice little knot. All right. For the last part, we're going to make a loop. So I'm going to go around again. I'm going to tie it up underneath. And then instead of pulling it tight all the way through, I'm going to hold it here and make another loop with that loop. So I'm going to hold this loop here. I'm going to take the extra tail. I'm going to wrap it around that tail and kind of pull it through on the other side. I know that sounds confusing. If all you can do is tie it off, then that would be fine. But that's how you make that loop in the end. When Jesse gets to his end, I'll show you how to tie it off again on his. And then what you would do is you just cut off this extra tail when you're all finished. Like that. And here it is. This is my ojo de Dios. Are you almost there? You got it? Okay, I'll help you. No problem. So Jesse went pretty close to the edge of his, which sometimes can make it a little bit harder to tie off. Let's see how we did here. Okay, so he came to the end, and I'm going to flip it over so that the crisscross part, I can see it. So not this side, but I'm going to put the sticks up towards me that I can see them. I'm going to hold the string up against that dowel, and I'm going to make a loop, and I'm going to pinch that loop on the other side with my finger. Okay, take the extra string, and I'm going to actually cut off a little bit here because it's kind of long. Make it a little easier to work with. I'm going to take the extra string. All right, here's my loop, and I'm going to thread that through my loop like this and pull it tight. And I'm going to do that again to make a full knot. So I'm going to go around again and pinch it underneath that dowel. So here's my loop, and I'm going to squish this extra tail up underneath it, pull it out, and make another tight little knot. Okay, so here's our last part, you guys, making the loop. So I'm going to do the same thing that we just did twice again. And now instead of going through my loop, I'm going to hold that extra piece up, and I'm going to take the tail and I'm going to pinch it together, go across and through, It's almost like I'm taking that loop and tying another knot, almost like you would tie your shoe. Make it tight like that. I'm gonna actually do it twice on yours, Jess. You can actually push the loop through if you wanted. So I'm kind of crisscrossing like you're tying shoes. And crisscross and flip it under and around and bam, just like that. Okay, I'm gonna cut the extra tail off. If you need help tying off that last part, hit the replay and have your parents help you. Because it can be a little tricky sometimes to tie it off. All right, let me cut that tail off.
Right.
Oh, check it out. I love it. Let's hold them up together. Very nice. I love it. Looks like the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we didn't come up with this.
No.
We do this Spanish class.
Yeah.
And on the Spanish class, it said, "All right, kids, time to do something called Ojo de Dios." And then we did it, and then Micah fell in love with it. And
That's his
then-
older brother.
Yeah. He's doing the camera. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. We do a lot of fun crafts at home too.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for watching, you guys. It was really fun. I hope you enjoyed it. We sure enjoyed it. Go ahead and hit that replay with your parents if you have younger brothers and sisters who maybe missed it. Maybe they were at another camp. You guys can gather your own materials and recreate it all over again. Don't forget our Fiesta Fun Night on July 23rd. It's going to be a movie night, really fun for KidX. And August 8th is our water day. So come prepared with a swimsuit, change of clothes, some sunscreen, and towel. We're out. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.